Welcome to the Explainer. You hear these big buzzwords all the time: AI and big data, analytical thinking. But have you ever stopped to wonder what they actually look like in your day-to-day work? Well, today we're going to connect those dots. We're going from those huge global trends right down to the code you type on your keyboard.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that's, well, kind of staggering. The World Economic Forum predicts that by 2030, almost 40% of a worker's core skills are just going to be disrupted. Think about that. In just a handful of years, a massive chunk of what we think is essential today might not be. So the big question is, are you ready for that? So, if the old skills are on their way out, what's taking their place? Well, that same report gives us the new playbook. Right at the top, you see it: AI and big data, followed really closely by things like analytical and creative thinking. And listen, these are not just buzzwords to throw on a resume. They represent a major shift in what companies are really, truly looking for.
But what do these skills actually look like out in the wild? It's one thing to see them on a list, right? But how do they translate into the actual technology that runs pretty much everything we do? Let's dig in and find out.
Yeah, seeing AI and big data in a report is fine, but understanding what a software developer or an IT pro actually does to show they have that skill, that's a completely different story. We need to go a little deeper.
So to find that answer, we're going to pop the hood on the software you use every single day, from ordering dinner to managing your entire workflow. Every single time you click a button, log into a site, or search for something, your request kicks off a journey. It travels down this digital pipeline, which is really just a series of checkpoints designed to handle it super fast and super securely. Now, a huge part of this pipeline is a concept called middleware. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like the security line on an airport. Before your request can get to its final destination, the gate, it has to pass through a few checks. One checks your ID, another scans your bag. Each checkpoint has one very specific job. Okay, so let's really get into this middleware idea. It is the invisible workhorse of the entire internet, and it's probably some of the most important code that you've never, ever heard of. So picture this. Your request comes in, bam. First, it hits a middleware checkpoint that asks, hey, are you even logged in? If you are, great, you move on to the next checkpoint, which makes a quick note of the request. That's called logging. And only after it passes all of these checks does your request finally get to the main event, the thing you actually wanted to do. Now, let's zoom in on just one of those checkpoints: logging. I know, it sounds a little boring, right? But trust me, this is where the raw fuel for all that big data and AI analysis actually comes from. As software engineer Mukesh Murugan puts it, without a good system for logging, developers are totally flying blind. They have no real idea what's happening inside their own applications. So when something goes wrong, they're basically just guessing in the dark. And that's a recipe for disaster. The solution to this is something called structured logging. Think of it like the difference between writing a diary entry and filling out a spreadsheet. A diary entry is just, a big block of text. But a spreadsheet, it's got clear columns, clear rows. You can sort it, you can filter it, you can analyze it. Structured logging does just that. It turns messy text into clean, searchable data. And this slide right here shows it perfectly. On the left, you've got that diary entry. A simple sentence. A human can read it, sure, but a computer can't easily make sense of it. But on the right, now that is data. Every little piece of info, the error level, the order ID, the user, it's all neatly labeled. This means a developer can instantly search for every single error related to one user, or track down every failed order. It's an absolute game changer. And this is the key point. This one simple change transforms all of an application's background noise into a massive, searchable database. This is the raw material, the starting point for those big data skills that everyone is talking about. All right, so now let's see what happens when we combine these two powerful ideas we've been talking about: middleware and structured logging. This is where it gets really cool. Just think about it for a second. When you click buy on a website, your request doesn't just go to one single place. No way. It might bounce between 5, 10, maybe even 20 different little programs called microservices. Each one does one specific job. So if something goes wrong somewhere in that chain, how in the world does a developer follow that one single click through that entire maze? The answer is this beautifully simple but incredibly powerful concept: the correlation ID. It is, for all intents and purposes, a tracking number for a package. A unique code gets attached to your request right at the very beginning of its journey.
And here is where it all clicks into place. A piece of middleware automatically slaps that tracking number onto every single request that comes in. Then, because of structured logging, every single log created during that request's journey includes that exact same ID. It's like leaving a perfect trail of breadcrumbs. Now, a developer can just search for that one ID and instantly see the complete end-to-end story of a single click, from start to glorious finish.
Okay, we've been deep in the technical weeds, I get it. But what does all this have to do with your career? Let's zoom back out and connect these hands-on practices directly to the skills of the future and, the actual job market. Because this is what those skills we talked about at the beginning actually look like. Implementing structured logging, that is the foundation for AI and big data analysis. Using a correlation ID to trace a problem across a super complex system, that is analytical thinking in action. And designing systems that can do all of this in the first place, that is building for resilience and agility. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're the real-world skills that will make you stand out. And why does this matter so much? Because 63% of employers, that's almost 2/3, told the World Economic Forum that this skills gap is the single biggest thing holding their businesses back. Now, for them, that's a problem. But for you, that is a massive opportunity if you have the skills they're looking for. So you see, the skills of the future, they aren't just abstract concepts on a slide. They are tangible, hands-on practices. And they're all rooted in understanding not just how to write code, but why we build systems the way we do. As this digital world gets more and more complex, knowing the why is what's going to keep you relevant. So the question is, are you investing in the skills that are going to matter tomorrow?